This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
It's going to WrestleMania. Claymore! Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass.
This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
And welcome to the Weekend Review, everybody, on this Sunday, 18th day of May, 2025, with Saturday night's main event just 6 days away. There's some things to discuss this week. It wasn't the most eventful week in pro wrestling, but one that provided a lot of, really, I think, just good wrestling. Good, just wrestling. Nothing earth-shattering, no earth-shattering returns, but just pure good wrestling. And there were some, there were some dull spots. We'll talk about that. But with Saturday night's main event just 6 days away, we already have WWE looking past that to the Money in the Bank qualifiers for the June event, the early June event. I believe it's June 7th, June 9th. I'll have to look at the exact date, but it is not far after the Saturday night main event, so they have to get cracking on the qualifiers because they're not going to have much time between Saturday night's main event and the Money in the Bank event that comes to us in early June. So it's going to be rapid fire pace here from now through Money in the Bank. And while Money in the Bank is certainly a big PLE, one of the biggest of the year, arguably, because of what it's been built to, what it's meant. And if you remember, the very first Money in the Bank ladder match actually took place at WrestleMania. So this has not always been a PLE on its own, but it's been one of the bigger ones of the year. It's like the biggest B-level PLE. Is that fair? Because we all know the four big ones: SummerSlam, Survivor Series, WrestleMania, Rumble. Those are the big four. And then there's the second tier, which I think would be the biggest top tier, rather the top tier of the second level down, would be Money in the Bank. So this is a big PLE on the heels of WrestleMania. And a lot of people are already looking at who could win the Money in the Bank, rightfully so, for the men and the women. For the men, I'm still going with Logan Paul. Not only is he the right candidate, I think, for a number of reasons. He's young. He's proven already, incredibly proven. He may be resented backstage, but who gives a damn? If it's right for the company, and it seems to be right thus far with what he's brought to the product, love him or hate him, his ability is undeniable. Again, and young, so you're investing in youth. And the fact that the Money in the Bank prize is heel driven to begin with, he would be a perfect candidate to make you wonder when he's going to cash in, because also he's not there every week. I know he said he's going full time on this thing, but he has yet to be on television every week. I'm sure he's working backstage. He's not going to take this lightly, but you never know when he's going to pop up and when he could cash in. Logan Paul to me is the number one guy. Number one guy, because when he cashes in, he's probably going to win and people are going to lose their minds. And I understand why. A lot of people backstage, I'm sure, will, and as a shoot, as they say, for real. And it's going to happen. I can feel it in my bones, but I could be totally wrong. You guys often prove me wrong, but I'm feeling this one as Logan Paul for me is a runaway choice for that championship or that Money in the Bank opportunity and to win it. But we're a couple steps from there. Obviously, a lot happening for this Saturday night's main event, and even more importantly, this week, as the title of this episode does say, it is This Week in WWE. So we've got a lot to discuss as we have the build to Saturday night main event. We've got some new matches on the card. John Cena versus R-Truth. A lot of people giving this one a hard time. Honestly, I think it's great. And with John Cena pretty much being able to pick his opponents when he wants to wrestle, who he wants to wrestle, he's earned that right. R-Truth is the guy that you would want to wrestle one more time. With R-Truth really having John Cena's spirit live in him, even over the last decade that John Cena hasn't been full-time. We've had him pretend John Cena's there. We've had him really have it be known that he is one of the biggest John Cena fans on the roster. Him and John have always had a nice connection. It's right. It's the right thing to do. And I'm sure for Ron Killings, it is the biggest match of his career. Can anybody argue differently? I don't know if R-Truth has had a bigger match in his entire career. So I'm happy for him. He's going to lose, but he's the perfect candidate to make you wonder, make you have a moment, to have those just few seconds where it could happen. And I've often said that this is R-Truth. His dream scenario is to be in this position where he's in a situation where his championship's on the line. He's a crazy underdog, but he makes you believe throughout the match. And I think this is the opportunity for him to grab. No, I don't think R-Truth's going to win, but I think there's a small chance he could, meaning like 2%. I mean, that's how small it is, but it's there. And I want him to be able to make us believe. There's going to be those moments in the match where you'll be like, oh my God, he could do it. He could do it. He could do it. That's what I want from this. Much like the Randy Orton defense in St. Louis, which I think I enjoyed the match from a nostalgic standpoint. This is the one that I think has a little bit more possibility that he could drop the belt. Again, R-Truth is a crazy candidate to give the belt to, but how much would the fans get behind R-Truth if he were to win? Or at least get them to believe during the match he could. Start to have the fans think about a possibility, a world in which R-Truth wins the world championship. It's fun as hell to think about. R-Truth is a beloved character. He's been a beloved character for a long time in WWE, not just on camera and by the fans, but from what I understand, backstage too, from everything we hear. He seems like a genuinely good guy, and I continue to say, if you haven't seen, I think it's the 24/7 series that WWE does, check out his story, Ron Killings. He has a hell of a story from childhood, making it up to WWE, his successes, his heartbreaks. It's so much fun to watch. I would really encourage you prior to this matchup with John Cena to go look at that little docuseries they did on R-Truth. I believe it's the 24/7 series, if I'm not mistaken. So check it out. It'll get you a little bit more emotionally invested in this story and make you want to see R-Truth win the championship. You know what? If I was in charge of this and I was given the authority to decide if Truth was going to win this or not, I would actually have him win, but it would be a Drew McIntyre, or maybe that's a little too quick. I was going to say the 5-minute championship reign. Maybe a Kane championship reign. Back in the late 90s, I believe it was King of the Ring 1998, the infamous one with Mick Foley going off the cell, where Kane beat Stone Cold Steve Austin at the height of Stone Cold Steve Austin's run and had Kane win the championship in a first blood match. Now, it wasn't Kane that busted Austin open, but it doesn't matter because it's a first blood match. There's no rules. Or at least no DQ. I shouldn't say no rules. It's so funny when I hear no rules. It's actually like, no, there are rules, because otherwise how would you decide who wins and who loses? There's got to be some rules. What that means is, of course, no disqualification. That's more specifically what rules aren't there is no disqualification, but to just broadly say no rules, well, there have to be some kind of rules here. Is a championship on the line? You know, like how do I win the match? Right, so anyway, semantics. But my point about all this is R-Truth could have a 24-hour run. I would even be fine with that. Just to have R-Truth for one day carry the world championship. Shock the world. R-Truth wins it, and then the next night John Cena goes rogue, destroys R-Truth, tricks him into a championship opportunity or strong arms management, saying he's going to walk off in breach of contract and he'll sue the company, and I don't know, something crazy. If R-Truth doesn't put his championship on the line, R-Truth puts that on the line, John Cena wins it back, fine. But just give R-Truth one day with that championship, one night, just to cap off his career. The more I'm talking about it, the more I'm talking myself into it, that it could happen. I know a lot of people are looking past this, and again, I'm not predicting he will win, but if I were WWE, I would actually give it a little more thought than you probably are. Because don't underestimate the fans' connection with R-Truth. It runs deep. It runs long. That's what she said. And I think it's something you can't overlook. Okay? I really would caution WWE to just overlook R-Truth as just, he's just one of the... He's a box you just check off John Cena's list and you move on to his next real opponent at Money in the Bank or wherever. I would caution WWE because there could be a little opportunity here to create a massive buzz to get people. I mean, again, you're not going to make Ron Killings the next face of the company. We know that. We know how old he is. We know what he's kind of positioned in the company as. We understand that. But to give R-Truth his due for just a day, put it back on John Cena, and then you know what you also do? You give John Cena his 18th championship. Right? So, you could do that. Put John Cena, give him a little bit of an insurance policy, not just 17, he's now 18. And distance himself even further from Randy Orton, pretty much solidifying that in our lifetimes, most likely John Cena is going to be hold the most number of world championships in our lifetimes. All right, so that's some good coming down the line. Getting a little more current before we go forward, I want to talk about the Tiffany and Nia matchup. Tiffany Stratton, Nia Jax for the championship on SmackDown. Rightfully the main event. Excellent main event. Probably the best match these two have had, and again, there haven't been a ton on television, but still excellent. I did not expect them to work that well together. Tiffany Stratton continues to elevate herself on camera. She just is continuing to grow her character, showing you what she can do. She's an incredible athlete, but I'm not taking anything away from Nia. Nia Jax, who you guys know over the years I've not been a big fan of for a variety of reasons, but I give credit where it's due. She overachieved in the last 12 to 18 months for me. She's lost some weight, and yes, that matters to me, and the only reason that matters is because you know what it does? It reduces the risk of injury to her opponents, and more importantly, really to herself. Because when there's less weight on the joints, there's less chance of an injury happening where otherwise it might have if more strain is on the joints, which is where most injuries happen. Most of the time you aren't snapping your femur bone. It's a knee. It's an elbow. It's an ankle. Right? That's where most of the injuries happen. And physics tells you when you have more weight, you're at a higher risk. Now, what percentage of risk is she being reduced by losing some of the weight? I mean, I don't know, but we know there's some risk reduced, and it also increases her mobility, meaning she can kind of keep up a little bit more with the women in the ring. I don't need her doing suicide dives and everything else. I don't need her dropping down 100 pounds. No, I actually think her size is an asset to her, but there does reach a point, and you got to find that sweet spot of what's kind of hindering me. What's that number? What's that weight that's hindering me versus what keeps me differentiated in the women's division? So she's found that sweet spot because I think, again, she's more mobile. She's less injury prone to herself and her opponents, and she's able to move a little bit faster in the ring keep up with her opponents. So that's a good thing. And she's got more experience under her belt, which also doesn't hurt. But this matchup was really good. The kickouts of the finishes, I actually didn't mind. See, this is how you make finisher kickouts feel important. Number one, when you point out the fact that no one's ever kicked out of the over the moonsault, that was a big moment for Tiffany, for Nia, for the fans. Now, if we hadn't been so conditioned to always believe kickouts of finishes are irregular, this would have still had more impact. But for the announcers to point out that no one's ever kicked out was an important point. And for Tiffany to not kick out of the Annihilator, but hold the rope. So it still protects Nia's finish. It protects Nia's finish because Tiffany didn't kick out. All she could do was muster enough energy to grab the rope, which broke the count. And I think that is a very clever finish. Now, the chair shot was great to Nia. Drop kicking the chair in Nia's head, busting her open. Awesome. I do believe that was a legitimate cut on her head. And if it was, hope she's okay. But it was brilliant. And then over the moonsault, 1, 2, 3. Just a fantastic match. Fantastic. Now, all that praise is true. All that praise, it deserves all the praise that I just gave it, I believe, and many others. I'd love to see a rematch. I hope we get one. But, and you knew a but was coming. So here it is. I took issue with WWE, and this isn't the first time by any means, by any count or measure, for WWE to self-appoint matches as instant classics. But within minutes of the match concluding between Tiffany and Nia, WWE immediately anointed that match as an instant classic. And I know that it's been something that WWE has done in the past, and there's a lot of other matches they've done it with. I'm starting to take issue with this. Again, I'm not picking on Nia. I'm not picking on Tiffany, again, who I can't give enough praise in this match, who did an excellent match. The chemistry is there where I didn't think they had that level of chemistry. I praise both women. They did an excellent job. You can't expect that every time out. It probably won't happen again if they do it, if they have a rematch, because sometimes the magic just isn't there that night. That's something that is not common. So when it happens, you can feel it. And they had it on Friday night. So I want to put that to bed, that I'm not picking on Nia nor Tiffany, who did an excellent job. More of the WWE self-appointment of instant classics, where they suddenly get to decide what's an instant classic. No, you don't. Number one, that shouldn't be the primary purpose of a match, which I've said many times before. And I hope it doesn't continue to be one down the line with this program, where in promos, next week on SmackDown, or maybe leading into Money in the Bank or something, we're hearing about how we tore the house down, sister. And, they're hugging each other backstage, or Tiffany mentions that she had she was so honored to have such a great match with Nia. And I know you may be saying, what are you talking about? That's so common. That's so boring for you to talk about. Well, again, this is where I take exception, because wrestlers shouldn't be there to have great matches. They shouldn't be there, at least, again, in character, to have instant classics. So you shouldn't be bringing it up in your promos, because that's not what you're here for. The fans will tell you afterwards. We are the consumer. We decide. And when we do, you can't be bringing it up in your promos as it's something of an achievement, because while we know that, yes, you do want to have those kinds of matches, it shouldn't be something that your character as a simulated sport should be aiming for, because that tells me you're more interested in character and having a great match than winning. Winning should be the primary focus of your character, and it should be the primary focus of everyone in the company. Not that everybody needs to have the same personality, but when everybody starts talking about having instant classics and stealing the show and making history, all that crap, those are things that should be unspoken. You can have the announcers talk about it. The fans can talk about it. Why shouldn't the men or women in this case talk about it on air, in character anyway? In character. I don't care if it's in a documentary after. Because it undermines why we believe or should believe that you are here, which is to win. So I think I've made my point. But so WWE, immediately following this match, said it was an instant classic. Again, okay, why don't we just pump the brakes a bit? Instant classic would tell you that it could be, that's a Hall of Fame level match. No, okay. Time will tell. Time will win this battle. Time will tell you if it is or is not. What impact this match had on the business or didn't. This match, as good as it was, could be forgotten in a couple weeks. Or does it somehow stick? Does it somehow become the standard in which all other women's main events are then tested for the years to come? We'll find out. I mean, I'm guessing it's more of just another great match that we'll lock away in the vault and then look back at it a couple years ago. Oh, yeah, I kind of remember that. That was a good match. Time will tell. But you can't just anoint it instantly. All right. So, all right. I've made my point and pissed off enough people. And boy, the people on X didn't like that. But all right, let's get on. Let's go on here. If you haven't already checked out Amanda's review, I would highly recommend that you do. She did a great job covering SmackDown in detail, including this match. She always does a great job, and you can check her out every single Friday, or rather Saturday morning on the East Coast, usually when I publish it mid-morning following SmackDown. All right, well, let's continue. So I'll give a little bit of my own SmackDown review, not as in-depth as Amanda, but I'll go over some big hitting moments here. So we had Jeff Cobb, Solo, and Jacob Fatu. Sikoa introduced JC, Jeff Cobb rather, as the man who helped keep the United States Championship in the family, which drew a side-eye from Fatu. Again, the tension between Solo and Fatu continues to build. Solo spoke about winning the Money in the Bank ladder match and bringing the WWE Championship back to the family. And then Fatu was cheered by the fans as he recalled saying that he would bring the U.S. title to the family and would do it with or without Solo. Fatu said he's all gas, no brakes, which a lot of fans said along with him. We had Solo cut off Fatu and told him that he and JC know what that means, and Solo said he's doing everything to help Fatu because he loves him. He said the U.S. title being over Fatu's shoulder is proof of that, and said that there was something he needed to hear from Fatu. And Solo asked what Fatu used to say loud and proud. "I love you, Solo," Fatu said, and Solo said that wasn't it. And Solo told Fatu he said it loud and proud, and they got face to face, and things got heated. But LA Knight broke it up, and Knight appeared in front of the broadcast table, and he pulled JC from the ring, slammed his head on the broadcast table, threw a few punches, and it's just your typical babyface attack that left the heels kind of stammering and looking like fools. So LA Knight, though, he can't get out of the Bloodline stories, can he? I feel like LA Knight has been in the Bloodline story in some form or fashion for years. And I love LA Knight. Unfortunately, I think we might have seen his ceiling. Is he still a candidate to win Money in the Bank if he qualifies? Yes. But he's not as nearly as strong of a candidate as he was a couple of years ago. If you remember, everybody was just, going crazy for LA Knight. He's got to win. He should win. It's got to be the one because, he's a rising star, big time. People want to see Roman taken down on all the rest, and he didn't end up winning. But so then we have Chelsea Green versus Alexa Bliss versus Michin. This is a qualifier for the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. This match went 9 minutes with Alexa Bliss beating Chelsea and Michin to win a spot in the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. And one thing I want to say about this match, which was good. This was good. Were there some clunky moments? Yeah. But the ending here I really liked. And the reason is Alexa Bliss's finish was awesome. She did her typical finish, except she did it in a way that it was a spike DDT. It was how Cody Rhodes' finish should look, if that makes sense. I know you're not going to do Sister Abigail, but Sister Abigail is close to Cody's finish, right? Crossroads. It's pretty close. I love Alexa Bliss's finish where she takes it, wraps her arm under, so when she turns, it's a DDT when she lands. That makes sense. So I liked her little alteration there, and she of course hit Twisted Bliss, and she hit the DDT and got the victory with her modified Sister Abigail. Now, the other good thing with this matchup here, not only did I enjoy Alexa's finish, but now we know that we're not going to have to wait another 6 weeks before Alexa Bliss pops up on TV again. Because if she won, she's going to be at least that Money in the Bank ladder match to make herself known. And you know what? There is a chance she could win. Now, the Wyatt Six have just completely fallen off the face of the earth. I mean, they are just ghosts. They don't exist. Now, I know that there wasn't originally a plan for her to be aligned with them, and that could happen at Money in the Bank. I could see a scenario in which the Wyatt Six help Alexa Bliss win. Maybe Nikki Cross, who has a ton of history with Alexa Bliss, could come in and help out Alexa. I could see Nikki Cross in support of Alexa coming in to help her. Just a thought, early thought. So then we have Axiom, and Frazier take on DIY, which are Gargano and Ciampa. This match went 11 minutes and 15 seconds. This is the finish. Axiom caught Gargano in a submission. Ciampa runs in, made a play for Axiom's mask, but Frazier super kicked him. Gargano super kicked Frazier, then tried to roll up Axiom, who sat on him, hooked his legs while getting the 3 count. And that's the victory here for Axiom and Nathan Frazier beating DIY. Ciampa, though, and Gargano attacked Axiom and Frazier after the match, but the Motor City Machine Guns, Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin, come out, fight off DIY to save the Fraxium duo, and that was, Motor City Machine Guns didn't get a big pop here. They got a pretty good reaction for, at least in the general scheme of how people, how fans generally react to tag teams, which we all know is certainly not WWE's priority, and it hasn't been for a long time. But having them get the reaction they did was I think as good as you could have expected. But more importantly, I think that you have a tag team division that's being built almost from the ground up here. I know that there was some mainstays that left, and you had some, like the Street Profits. Again, having the Street Profits win the championships, tag team championships, doesn't really do anything for me because they're not really doing anything with them. They're just kind of the same old for me. But you need wrestling to be really good with tag teams, and that's what they have here. Gargano and Ciampa are going to give you a good match anytime. Same with Axiom and Nathan Frazier. They're going to give you the same kind of wrestling and quality wrestling every single time. So that's good. The only problem with all of this is that you don't have a lot of personality, which has always hamstrung the tag team division. You never really have an issue necessarily with the wrestling. It's always with the personality, because their personality is usually non-existent. Why? Because WWE doesn't really prioritize that. They never really have. There's been moments and glimpses, but it's never been consistent. And really, as good as this tag team division is, and I think it's pretty strong from a wrestling perspective, creating a connection with the fans is really difficult when you don't get any time to build your character and connect with fans. So we'll see. We'll see how this moves down the line here, but it's kind of the same old with the tag team division, even if the wrestling quality is improved. So then we have the, sit-down interview with R-Truth. Barrett sit-down interview. Barrett recalled John Cena putting Truth through a table at the Backlash press conference. Truth said life is tough, but regardless of what's happening in your world, you can always count on John Cena. Truth said hustle, loyalty, and respect are not just words, they're a beacon of light. Barrett said Truth sounds crazy. He said Truth saved Cena at Backlash and then repaid him by putting him through a table. Truth said Cena won the match on his own, and R-Truth said that the man at the press conference was not John Cena, and Truth said Cena knows he wouldn't turn his back on the people who love and support him, and he doesn't want to fight Cena, but he'd do it if he has to beat him back to his senses. And Truth said he spoke with Nick Aldis, who gave him a match against Cena on next week's Saturday Night Main Event. That's good. Here's the thing. Like I said, Truth is the forever optimist. Forever. There's nothing you can ever get him to say that'll make him down on himself or not be disillusioned by something. He's the forever optimist, and it makes you love him for it. He's just a genuinely likable character on television, and it should be a fun match, and I've already laid that out for about 20 minutes to open the show. So, okay. We then have Aleister Black versus Carmelo Hayes with The Miz. Aleister Black fought Carmelo Hayes to a no contest in 10 minutes and 25 seconds. The finish was Black catching Hayes with a kick, then hit a German suplex before bridging into a pin for a near fall. Black set up for his finish, but Miz grabbed his legs. Black knocked out Miz off the apron a short time later, and Black set up to use his foot to lift Hayes' head off the apron, but Miz ran in and attacked Black from behind for the apparent no DQ finish. Or, I'm sorry, for the apparent DQ finish, not no DQ. And then after the match, Black dropped Miz with a black mass, and Hayes hit Black with nothing but net. So I think there's couple things here. Couple things. I guess we know Hayes is a heel. I'm pretty sure they've waffled back and forth with Hayes, Carmelo Hayes, for several months now. Is he a baby? Is he heel? What are they doing? He's kind of both. Let the fans decide. Right now, we're on the side of heel. We'll see if that sticks. I have no issue with Hayes in the ring. No issue with Miz in the ring. Same with Black. My biggest concern of this whole thing, why did you bring Aleister Black back if you're just going to pretty much put it where he picked up, or where he left off, rather? Why would you, if there's no plan here, it doesn't seem to be one, you're not giving him any mic time. If you're just going to put him back where he was, which was not a good spot when he left, what are we doing? Now, I know the guy needs to collect the paycheck. I'm glad for him. He's making, a significant amount of money from the company. I'm talking about in character, personality. I'm talking about storyline. Why would you bring him back? And why would Black want to come back from, again, professional development standpoint, if they're just going to put his ass in the same exact place, which is this cool, dark, mysterious guy? I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they start putting him back in a dark room and have a random knock at the door again. Remember they did that for a while? Remember they did that? I forget what he said every time. Something about come get me or knock. I'm the one who... I don't know. I forget. There was a phrase he used every time he would challenge people, and he'd be sitting in a dark room and there'd be a knock at the door. I wouldn't be surprised if they go back to doing that. I mean, they got to do something with Black here. I mean, they've already got enough good wrestling hands that can have good matches. Good matches are baseline. If you want people to become stars, you need to let them grow on the microphone. Give them something to sink their teeth into beyond the fans thinking, yeah, they're good in the ring. Yeah. They're kind of this dark, mysterious guy. He's good in the ring, and that's it. That's what most people on the WWE side of things for fans think of Aleister Black. He's got a cool finish. He's kind of this dark, mysterious guy, and he can wrestle. And that's it. So I'm really advocating here to do something with Aleister Black beyond just slot him exactly in where he left off. All right. We then have backstage Byron speaking with Alexa Bliss. She said it felt amazing to qualify for Money in the Bank, and she said her goal is to become the first woman to win the Money in the Bank twice. She was distracted by something off camera, and she wrapped up the interview. The camera followed Bliss as she found Charlotte Flair standing outside Nick Aldis' office, and Bliss asked Flair if she had any thoughts about what they had spoken about. Flair said they weren't even close. Bliss said Flair took her under her wing in NXT, and at a time when no one else would talk to her. Flair said she didn't remember that. And so Julia then exited Aldis' office. Aldis came out and introduced Julia to Flair and Bliss as the newest member of the SmackDown roster. Julia smiled and walked away. So Julia is now on SmackDown. That's good. All right. Aldis told Flair they could talk about Money in the Bank. Flair told Bliss to stay out of the way if she wanted to help, because she doesn't need her. After Flair entered Aldis' office, Bliss said, "Keep telling yourself that." All right. I mean, it's clear that Flair is advocating to become at least a qualifier, have a qualifying match for Money in the Bank, or be given a bye right into the match, which, I mean, I'm sure she could easily advocate for, and just based on her name, because of who she is, she was able to manipulate her way into the match. And I actually think that's a good thing for Charlotte. I don't think she should win the Money in the Bank, but it'd be a good thing for her character to just not have to even compete to get in. I think to drive the fans crazy. And here, the thing is, I would, anytime the fans say something's happening or are annoyed by something with a character that's happening, I would triple down on it. I wouldn't fight it. I would just take that as a signal to move forward. And actually, that's where I want to go. If you guys are telling us what annoys you, well, isn't that the point of a heel? I mean, to a degree. Again, there is a difference between heel heat and channel changing heat. There's a big difference. Yes, anger is anger, but there's different motivations for being angry. There's different reactions to being angry. There's different things you want to see come from anger. If you're angry with a particular wrestling personality and you just want to see someone kick their ass, that's the heat you want. That's the sweet spot. If someone's angry because they're just sick of how bad the product is, well, they're going to just watch something else. There's a gazillion things to watch. I mean, there's always things trying to bide for our attention. We got a big 6-inch glowing screen in our pockets at all times that is just screaming for our attention. Really to our detriment as a society, I think, but that's how quickly we can just turn it off. That's not the heat you're looking for. All right. Drew McIntyre was shown flashing a mean face while walking through the backstage area, and then we had Drew McIntyre come out and say that Priest is jealous because he knows McIntyre is better than him in every way. Basically, he says it has to end. They're going to end it in a steel cage. One man's going to leave on a stretcher. It's your standard promo. That's fine. Like, this wasn't anything special. All of us want Drew McIntyre and Priest to end. It needs to end. I'm over it. You're over it. I love you, Drew. But yeah, we're with you. Can we move on? Can Drew McIntyre do something at the level he should be doing it? I really don't mean any disrespect to Priest at all. He has risen in a big way over the last year, breaking from the Judgment Day, Terror Twins, World Champion, a run that really I think exceeded all expectations. Credit to him. But Drew's on another level. He deserves to be at the top of the card. He should be challenging for the World Championship or WWE Undisputed Championship. He should be in that conversation. It's just the law of the land. It's the nature of the beast. Priest is not on his level from a star perspective yet, and Drew is at his peak. Drew should be working at that level. We have a talent like Drew McIntyre who is working a rung below what he should be right now. In terms of just star power and what he's capable of from a storyline perspective. I know it sounds like I'm disrespecting Damian. I'm not. It's just a fact. Damian's a very good worker, has vastly improved. But truth is truth. And the truth is Drew deserves to be at a higher level right now. He just does, and everybody knows it. I expected bigger things to happen at WrestleMania. I expected even perhaps Drew to get involved in the main event. And instead we had, of course, the one of the worst decisions that'll go down ever in the WrestleMania history of Travis Scott. But I won't open that can of worms again. So then we had Jimmy Uso, who delivered a promo about Money in the Bank, which was kind of just forgettable. And he took on Jimmy Uso versus Rey Fenix versus Solo. This was a qualifier for the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. And this match ended with Solo beating Rey and Jimmy in a triple threat here in 13 minutes to qualify after hitting Fenix with a hell of a Samoan spike. And Fenix really sold that Samoan spike. I mean, he flipped inside out. It was a hell of a sell by Rey Fenix. And just well done. After the match, LA Knight ran out and ran Fatu into the ring post. Knight grabbed a chair and climbed onto the broadcast table. And Aldis booked Knight versus Mateo and then called for a referee. So we got an impromptu match here that went 15 minutes with JC Mateo beating LA Knight in 15 minutes. And the finish was a Knight kicking Cobb's legs and then hit him in the apron with a knee strike. And Knight had to fight off Solo and then hit Fatu and Solo with a springboard dive. And Knight returned to the apron, went for a slingshot move, but Mateo caught him and hit the Tour of the Islands for the win. And after the match, Solo raised Mateo's arm, looked at Fatu, who held up his U.S. belt while glaring at Solo and Mateo. Now, this was kind of the right move for Mateo to get the victory here overnight. Doesn't hurt Knight. Knight was involved in, 3 segments on Friday night? That's a big deal. Yeah, Knight he's over. He's one of the top baby faces on the show. But right now, he's not in a position to challenge for the world championship. Now, could he be? The WWE championship, I should say. Could he be one of the guys that is on the radar of a John Cena? Perhaps. But right now, he's still muttering around the United States Championship title scene. That's not a bad place to be. I'm not concerned about him. But again, I feel like he could be also a level higher. I'm sure a lot of fans have felt that way for a couple of years now, since the LA Knight explosion. That has really sustained itself. And, that's also the other thing is you never really know what's kind of a quick burst. What's going to stick? Is it a fad? And with this LA Knight support, it has not been a fad. This has been a genuine connection with the fans that he's had for a couple of years now. So this LA Knight movement has proven, it should have proven to WWE quite some time ago, that this is not something that's temporary. This is not a reactionary decision if they decide to put Knight in a bigger position, maybe even anoint him with the belt. So that shouldn't even be a part of the discussion. I mean, the fans are behind Knight. This isn't just a temporary, trendy thing. This is for real. So I think WWE should take note of that if they haven't already, or remind themselves of it. Alrighty, where are we at here? Some other things happened that I'm not going to get through every detail here, but then we already talked about the main event, Tiffany versus Nia Jax. Again, I thought the show was pretty good overall. Not going to lie. Strong wrestling show. I think, again, Nia Jax and Stratton headline the thing. That's what most people are talking about here is Nia Jax and Tiffany Stratton for the WWE Women's Championship. And rightfully so. Rightfully so. All right, quick recap of Raw. Very quick. We had Punk say he's going to pop, or he's going to squeeze the neck of Paul Heyman until his eyeballs pop. That's essentially it. And we had Penta take on Chad Gable with Ivy Nile, with Penta beating Chad Gable in 11 minutes. We had Pat McAfee wave his hands in response to the ovation they gave him. A chant broke out for him. I've already gone over this, but it's still worth mentioning one more time. Gunther destroyed McAfee, or at least to a degree that should have an announcer limping to the ring, being wheelchaired to the ring. And instead, McAfee is jumping up and down as if, he just did a nice kind of calisthenics or yoga, workout session, and he's pumped to go, right? He's all jazzed up. And instead, he should be selling his neck, at the very least, wearing a neck brace. I know he talked about how sore he is. Okay, well, show us, dude. Don't just tell the people at home. I'm sure you actually are sore. You don't even have to really sell it because it's just how you feel. Have some taped up ribs. I know you put the picture on Instagram or Twitter or wherever, but dude, you can't, that hurts Gunther so much when you do that. Hurts just the sport more generally. I hated that. I don't dislike McAfee, but this was I don't know how this was overlooked or who shot this down or if it was even brought up, but how McAfee was able to just come out there and just after being in the ring with Gunther, it's like he was golfing the day before. He had a little stiff arm maybe from some bowling he did. I mean, that's what it looked like. It's disgraceful. That's the stuff that it's small, but it's important. Otherwise, it makes things feel inconsequential. You want things to have consequences. I'm not saying every beatdown has to result in taped ribs or a neck brace, but when things get extreme and you have a effing announcer facing one of the toughest guys in the company and he gets beat down brutally at the 2 nights before, you're not going to have the announcer, who's not an in-ring competitor, show any kind of symptoms from that beating. No consequences or nothing comes of it. It's disgraceful. All right. Anyway, War Raiders took on Julius and Brutus Creed, with Julius and Brutus beating the War Raiders in 10 minutes. Then we had Gunther and Jay go face to face, and Gunther said that the winner of Jay versus Logan Paul is going to face him for the world championship. So it's probably going to, again, Jay versus Gunther is most likely. Then we had, Finn Balor take on AJ Styles. 17 minutes. Heck of a match. You know, they could have gone 47. AJ Styles beats Finn Balor in 17 minutes. We then had Lynch talk about Valkyria and everything she's done for her. And Lynch talked about walking away from WWE for nearly a year because the fans asked her to. And she said she heard the comments and read them online. And she said if she's not in the WWE to win world championships, then why is she there? She said that she and all the fans were in it together, but then she won, and the fans could no longer see themselves in her because they all know that they are a failure. So again, it's so funny how they talk about how the internet doesn't matter and it's just the internet fans, and yet they make the internet fans into a storyline. A little bit contradictory there. No, WWE, right? Maybe Triple H was beside himself. Of course, he was in on it. He's the head of creative. I'm sure he knew about this piece. Does he not see the complete oxymoron that he is with this stuff about attacking the fans and just enjoy the product, yet they take something that the fans complained about with Becky and they make it a story? So which is it there, Trips? Which one? Pick a side. The side is they know and do care what the fans say online. They know the power that the online community has. Yet they'll pretend that they don't have any power and to just shut up and enjoy the product because they don't want that bad publicity. Because we know when we start creating trends and talk about things we don't like, that it influences other people. The fans individually have more power now than they ever have. As individuals, we have more power than ever. Than ever. For better or worse, a lot of times it's not used for good. But that means that when we don't like something, we should be able to voice it. And WWE just needs to effing deal with it. We should give them credit when things are good, but when things are bad, we also should say so. That's what the paying customer gets to do. But we're told, shut up, we don't pay attention, it's just the internet wrestling community. Again, I would venture to guess that most of the people that are in the arenas are also probably on some kind of social media platform posting about WWE in some form or fashion, for good or better or worse. We're not all, on X and tweeting throughout the shows. Yeah, I know that. But to just, again, the internet wrestling fan label just doesn't make sense anymore. And they're afraid. And I know that they would laugh at that statement, but they know they are either incredibly naive or they just really don't realize how powerful fans' voices are now. Where before we'd scream into the void. The only chance we had to tell the company how we felt is when we went to live events. That's it. Or chat rooms on AOL. Remember those? Or posting on forums. That's it. Or you had the big few wrestling websites back in the late 90s, early 2000s. And now, fans' voices have never been more powerful. And yet at the same time, they are trying to diminish them and pretend that they don't exist at the very same time. Because they think if they feed into it and tell us that our voices do matter, that when we say something bad, it's going to make it worse. But it actually makes it worse when you tell us our voices don't matter, because then we're going to scream louder. Do you see how it works? All right. Let's go here. Rusev had another video. He's still a heel. Then we had Women's World Champion Io Sky and Rhea take on Roxanne Perez and Julia. This match went 14 minutes with Io and Rhea winning. we then had, no, that was it. That was the main event. Sorry. I thought we had something else, but that was it. So I know, again, I didn't talk about Jade Cargill on SmackDown. Again, I didn't go through everything, but that's the high-level look at WWE this week. So I appreciate everybody. If you want to go ad-free, patreon.com/WWE podcast is the place to go. Patreon.com/WWE podcast. You can also go ad-free on Apple. There's an ad-free button on Apple. Spotify has an ad-free button as well, I believe. So check us out there, and I appreciate it. So that'll do it. Wrap it up for me here. I will be back on Tuesday for your Raw review, and maybe tomorrow night I'll be posting a retro throwback show in honor of Saturday Night Main Event. Or I did Money in the Bank last week, so I can't do that again. But I'll find another show tomorrow night. Maybe I'll pick out of the vault and share with you guys. All right, that'll do it. Thanks so much. Take care.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.